Good morning, everybody. We're going to start early today. Throw the controllers off their game if they want to interrupt this broadcast. This will be a very, very important broadcast because I believe we've blown the lid off of the entire Burning Man ritual, going back to the beginning, because little did the people know who go to Burning Man, but they were literally dancing in the shadow of a massive super volcano full of lithium, just miles up from where they were. And the volcano requires one sacrifice per year, and that's exactly what's been happening over the last several decades of the Burning Man attendance. We're going to break all that down today and show you all of that. Also, there was a premiere yesterday afternoon, if you guys caught that. I'm going to play that now. I'm going to look at the premiere, break down those scenes a little bit better for you guys. It was a short premiere. It was about 4 minutes long. But suffice it to say, I, Pet Goat 2, the 2012 animated film literally depicted the burning of the Temple of the Heart, as well as the burning of the feet of the people that attended Burning Man. And it shows the Thunderdome from Burning Man with dancing partiers inside who are possessed by various gods. With a little g, of course. Let's first get into the this clip from yesterday. And then after that, we're going to get into the movie Joe versus the Volcano, starring Tom Hanks, from 1990, which was 33 years ago. This is the video that we uploaded yesterday. It's called Why They Pulled Pet Goat, the burning heart, the burning feet, and the spire falls again. Well, let's take a look. Now I'm going to turn the sound off just because I just have a soundtrack on here, so it really doesn't matter about the sound. But as you're going to see, all of this dust here, all around their feet, is alkaline. And I believe that it's probably full of lithium deposits from the volcano, in the very shadows of the volcano that they're dancing in. Now, some people were confused. They thought, what is this? They thought it was the movie Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. No, this is an actual structure at Burning Man 2023. And they actually call it Thunderdome. And they're dancing around in it. And they're also doing like a battle against each other. This is literally just a few days ago. And then it hit me why they may have taken iPet Go 2 down, because it literally shows the burning men in the Thunderdome 11 years before it happened. Look at this. Everybody remembers these scenes from iPet Go 2, under the dome with the fire pit in the middle, the burning man. But what we forgot was that these things came up out of the ground. We couldn't figure out what they were. Was it water? Was it fire? Maybe it was a little bit of both, coming up and burning the feet of the burning man. Feet on fire. Now, this is going to be very important to remember, this theme of the feet being on fire, because it means something. We'll get into that as the show progresses today. Now, this year's Burning Man was called the Temple of the Heart. There was a tent or a tabernacle in the center of 2023 Burning Man called the Temple of the Heart. And when Burning Man was over, as they always do, they lit it on fire. So it was literally the burning heart, the burning temple of the heart. We are the temple. Jesus was the temple. The burning heart of the burning man. Literally, it manifested. Again, scenes from iPet Goat 2. Literally happening. This is the temple of the heart. And then the bombshell of yesterday's premiere. I'll put a link to it for those that have not seen it yet. About 9,000 of you have seen it so far. This is the temple of the heart. And this is them lighting it on fire. Remember a couple years ago, we discovered the spire of Notre Dame Cathedral, the church, and the spire fell over, and I did a side-by-side of iPet Goat 2 in the church spire falling over, and Notre Dame Cathedral and the church spire falling over. That side-by-side video went viral, not on our channel, but on other channels. Well, it's happened again. The temple of the heart, while it was on fire, the spire literally fell over. And when I did the side-by-side of this spire falling over, it literally nearly matched the scene in iPet Goat 2. Now you see all these demigods dancing around in the Thunderdome. And what this represents to me are the various demons that possess people. And we all know about this. We hear people talking about these things. They're like, oh, I'm channeling Kali, or I'm channeling this person, or that, or this entity, or that entity. And people literally take on the persona. That has to be a form of demon possession. As these characters morph in and out and shapeshift in and out of different gods. This one, Kali, with the tongue sticking out. And there they are in the Thunderdome. They literally call it the Thunderdome. They literally call it that at Burning Man this year. I think they have the Thunderdome every year, but this year is special. And then the spire falls. And I literally couldn't believe this. I was in shock. How could two events, the Notre Dame Cathedral and the Burning Man Temple of the Heart spire, how could they both fall and look almost exactly the same for those with spiritual eyes to see? And I couldn't believe it. And I knew I had to do a video for you guys yesterday. But watch this. This is the end of Burning Man. And there you see the feet on fire, which is exactly what's happening to the people at Burning Man. The alkali mud, they're saying, is burning their feet. Are these all just coincidences? I do not believe so. This is probably why they had to pull iPet Goat. It was too much truth. His eyes are on fire. Even. The man is burning, literally before our eyes. And in the backdrop is the church, the cathedral, the spire falling over. And as I said, we did the side-by-side that matched this falling spire with Notre Dame. And you can look it up right now. Notre Dame fire pet goat. And you'll see other people copied the video that we did. Look at this. The spire falls. Now watch what happened to the temple of the sacred, or the temple of the heart. Let me rewind that so you can see this. Now the thumbnail on yesterday's show, actually I outlined the profile of what you see in iPet Goat here and the profile of the actual burning of the temple of the heart. And the profiles are very, very similar. Let's zoom in on this so you can see this really well. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. The spire falls. Then fireballs come from the sun and destroy the pyramids. Now, there was a scene in Midsommar at the end where there was a pyramid that they lit on fire. And I think when we decoded Midsommar, we noted that. We said, this looks like I, Pet Goat 2, the ending. I think we made that connection. And this was the end of iPetGo 2. Now, something else very weird happened at this year's Burning Man. There were literally pillars of fire by night, just like what led the tabernacle during the Exodus. Look at this. Pillars of fire by night spawned out of the giant Burning Man effigy. Look at this. They're literally on fire. This is a real video right here on YouTube. This happened, I think they uploaded this about 2 or 3 days ago. There were literally 2 of them. Look at that, another one. You can't make it up. Let me check in with you guys. Jaw dropper. Now you know why I titled the video, Why Pet Goat Got Taken Down. Because the imagery is almost so exact that maybe they realized they had gone too far and watched more people be woken up than the sorcery would affect, right? Now, if you can believe this, the 1990 movie, Joe and the Volcano from 33 years ago, literally shows much of the same imagery. I knew I had to decode this film. Well, let's just start with the opening. Let's just show you this film. This is unbelievable. Watch this.
All man's made out of muscle and blood and skin and bone. A mind that's weak and a back that's... Some people say a man is made out of mud.
A man is made out of mud as they trudge through the mud. This was from 33 years ago. Tom Hanks, as he's walking into his prison, a pharmaceutical company that makes rectal examination equipment and lube. The front looks like Molech. Look at this. It even looks like the tattoo that we saw in Moana on the rock's chest when we flipped it upside down. I should probably do a side-by-side. Look at this. Look at the teeth and everything and the eyes. Now, what makes this even more creepy is there are 10 lanes. Just like in the Exodus from Burning Man, as they're all trudging through the mud to go be slaves. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last one, 10. Exactly 10 lanes of traffic.
Those 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older
And as you can see, in the wake of the Burning Man event, with the 10 lanes of traffic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I had to decode this film. I was not expecting to see this, but there it is. What is happening here? Is this Project Looking Glass? Can these people see the future? Let's keep watching here. Now, at this point, Tom Hanks goes into company lockdown. Exactly what happened at Lahaina and Burning Man. The lockdown.
I was born one morning on my soul to the company store, fighting in trouble, my middle name. I was raised.
He steps in the mud again, and it's all about selling his soul to the company, the pharmaceutical company. And then he does the unthinkable.
In the canebrake by no mama line. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain. And I had
The rain.
some woman made me walk the line. You load 16 tons deeper in debt. So
He does the Burning Man pose.
Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. Oh.
Then he meets Meg Ryan, who he works with. And she asks him what he's doing. And he says he's losing his soul.
Good morning, Dee Dee.
Hi, Joe. What's with the shoe?
I'm losing my soul.
Yeah.
What's this lamp for? Is there
Then, the very next scene, Tom Hanks mentions the fluorescent light. Again, another symbol that appeared in the movie Moana. The fluorescent light.
not enough light in here for you?
The fluorescents affect me. They make me feel blotchy, puffy. I thought this light.
And how long have you felt this way?
Well, pretty much since I left the fire department. I feel puffy, blotchy. I never seem to have very much energy. I keep getting these little sore throats. I really just don't feel very good.
So, Tom Hanks goes to the doctor. And of course, reveals his former occupation, a fireman, literally a burning man. And I was thinking about this losing your soul and what he meant by that. And one of you thought that you may have figured that out. You thought that maybe the people at Burning Man that were, their soles of their feet were being burnt. You thought that maybe that was a spiritual significance. That losing the sole of their feet meant losing their soul. That literally that's what was happening. Tom Hanks goes to the doctor. He reveals that he was a fireman or a burning man. And the doctor tells him that he has an incurable brain cloud. And he has 6 months to live. Watch.
What did you do in the fire department?
Well, I put out fires. Something wrong with my blood or my urine?
No, they're fine. You have a brain cloud.
Brain cloud?
There's a black fog of tissue running right down the center of your brain.
Listen to what he just said. You have a black fog of tissue running right down the center of your brain. And that's when all the lights went on. Because I realized we had seen that before on the chalkboard of I, Pet, Goat 2. Now this is groundbreaking because this image that you're seeing underneath the chalkboard in I, Pet, Goat 2 is the image that has become the symbol of the movie Joe versus the Volcano. It appears several times in the film. It is the logo of the actual company that he works for, as you can see at the top of your screen. This is the walkway going into the company. And, oops, let's back up here. I can't even barely present this to you guys right now. I'm like shaking. And when Joe goes to sacrifice himself to the volcano, the pathway up to the volcano has the same image. In fact, even inside of his apartment, on the wall, the same image appears as plaster falling away from the wall. At this point, Tom Hanks quits his job because he's so angry about how he's being used. He tells it off his boss.
It's incurable.
Yes.
$300 a week. That's the news. For $300 a week, I've lived in this sink, this used rubber.
You watch it, mister.
Not that anybody could look good under these zombie lights. I can feel them sucking the juice out of my eyeball. Suck, suck, suck.
Then the more fluorescent light mentions. He says the fluorescent lights are sucking the juice out of his eyeballs. Remember the little boy that we reported on who received the antiviral, and they said that his eyes changed color. They turned to blue from brown. And in that article, they said some people's eyes turned fluorescent. What do you think Tom Hanks is talking about here? Let me play that back. Unbelievable.
Not that anybody could look good under these zombie lights. I can feel them sucking the juice out of my eyeball. Suck, 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 suck. I bribed them.
Then, after Tom Hanks quits his job, we get a direct reference. As I said yesterday would probably be the case. Remember? I said there would be a direct reference to the heart. Something happening to the heart. As they're at dinner, listen to what he says next.
To sing us a song that would drive us insane and make our hearts swell and burst.
Swell and burst as he tips the glass of wine, which is blood, of course. Let me check in with you guys. Some of you guys are probably blown away, especially if you're new to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. This is groundbreaking information. We're going to break down what Burning Man actually is. It's actually a giant volcano sacrifice. We're going to break that down as well. But please thumbs up the video. It gets the algorithms, forces them to send out the notifications so everybody can tune in to the show. Now, Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks leave the restaurant. And they walk by a movie poster that says Fire in Paradise. And the reason why I know it's a movie poster because down below it says Technicolor, which is what they used to put on the old movies, as they walk out of the restaurant. Now I want you to also notice the flowers, the roses in the windows of the restaurant, because this links directly back in to Burning Man and the Temple of the Heart. This is it right here, the Temple of the Heart from Burning Man, and there you see the roses all throughout the temple before it was burned to the ground. And if the heart is self-explanatory. That Tom Hanks just mentioned bursting. There's the wide-angle view of the Temple of the Heart before it went up in flames. And this is when it went up in flames. Now, at one point in the film, some weird dude shows up
to sing us a song that would drive us insane and make our hearts swell and burst.
This guy. And he goes to Joe's apartment and he offers him a job in superconductors. He tells him if he'll jump off and sacrifice himself in a volcano, that he will give him money until he dies. And he'll be able to be a rich man for a while before he dies. Now, watch this.
Now, hire to jump into a volcano. There's an island in the South Pacific called Waponi-Wu. The name means a little island with a big volcano. Unless once every 100 years he is appeased. There's that big volcano. They call it the Big Wu.
The Big Wu, Han.
They believe that an angry fire god in the volcano will sink the island. It's been 99 years, 11 months, and 11 days.
What? There you heard it. This was in 1990, 11 years before 9/11. 99 years, 11 months, 11 days.
Since the fire god got his properties, and believe me, I've looked, because without Bubero, I can't make my superconductors.
Now, let's break these scenes down. He wants to make these superconductors, right? But he needs Joe to sacrifice himself so he can get this element called Bubero. And this just reeks of the story of Prometheus, right? Giving fire, the gods giving man fire for technology, or man receiving technology for a sacrifice to the gods, right? And that's what this is essentially about. This is about alien demon technology given to humans, but they have to offer a sacrifice back to the demons, back to the devil himself. And this has gone on since the dawn of man, hasn't it? This is how humanity receives our technology. We did some deep dives early on in this channel, 11 years ago, interestingly enough. And we talked about some of these major companies and how these technological advancements just came out of nowhere. We talked about things like spandex and supercomputing technology. It just appeared out of nowhere. And there was always some cover story. But really, it came from the fallen ones. Now, this film came out 11 years and 6 months before Blind 11. Here's the math. March 9th, 1990 to 9/11/2001. 11 years and 6 months and 2 days. Maui was known as the heart, or Lahaina was known as the heart of Maui, the heart of Hawaii. There was actually a heart-shaped rock formation that broke apart. Maui's famous heart-shaped rock is now heartbroken and gone. This was a precursor of the ritual that they knew was coming. The heart was broken. Here's a location of where the heart broke, and here's Lahaina next to it, just not too far up the coastline. Back of the head, front of the head. Okay, let's get refocused here. I got off on track there. Now, 11 years and 6 months before 9/11, and then 19 years after 9/11, we had Wuhan and COVID-19, didn't we? You can't make this up. In fact, ready for this? Meg Ryan's birthday is 9/11 backwards. 11/19/61. Basically, her birthday forms a giant mirror. 11191961. It's all 9 6s and 1s. And remember, Burning Man sits at 119 degrees latitude. So, this sent me on a rabbit hole trail. And I decided to dig into this whole thing a little bit more. This whole thing about superconductors and volcanoes. Because they gave us a clue in this movie, didn't they? In Joe versus the Volcano. And with a simple search, I found out that there's actually a giant ancient volcano just uphill from Burning Man. And it is full of superconducting and very alkaline element lithium used for electric cars. Look at this. Lithium is the lightest elemental metallic and superconducting system. Well, let's keep watching. This is unbelievable. There's the alkalinity of lithium between 10 and 11. It is the very first alkali compound in the periodic table. Lithium is derived from the word lithos.
I can't make my superconductors.
Desert of Nevada in the northern desert of Nevada, and yet we find people camping in tents, braving these harsh conditions as an act of resistance against proposed mining for lithium in that extinct volcano.
I can't make my superconductors.
This is where self-described radical environmentalist Max Wilbert is spending the night. What are you doing out here?
Blowing up a mountain for coal mining is wrong. I think blowing up a mountain for lithium mining is just as wrong.
In the Nevada desert, this site known as Thacker Pass could make the United States.
This is Thacker Pass. Look closely and look at the proximity just uphill from Burning Man. Now that looks like a short distance, but it's actually about 80 miles away. But it's in the same vein. You can see it clearly. In other words, if you're standing at Burning Man and look up, it's about a 2,000 foot elevation. You could probably see the silhouette of Burning Man, of this extinct volcano full of lithium. Remember, lithium is very alkaline. And they're saying that the people's feet are being burnt from the mud because of the alkaline mud. Are the two connected? The single sacrifice per year for the volcano so they can have their superconductor, lithium.
A player in the fast-growing market for lithium for electric vehicles. Lithium is a metal used to make batteries for electric vehicles and is critical to the clean energy transition. There's currently only one lithium-producing mine in the United States, located halfway between Reno and Las Vegas. The majority of the world's lithium is mined in Australia and South America. Protesters have rotated in and out of this encampment for the past 11 months. They say what...
Did you see that? Look at the sign.
Mine in the United States, located halfway between Reno and Las Vegas. The majority of the world's lithium is mined in Australia and South America. Protesters.
Welcome to Rihi Muha. Like Maui or Moana. What the heck? Guys, this is the Matrix.
Have rotated in and out of this encampment for the past 11 months. They say what will become the largest federally approved lithium mining project operating in the U.S. comes at an environmental cost.
Producing one electric car releases something like 9 tons of greenhouse gases on average.
Now, we've been saying this, the hypocrisy. In order to create one of these cars, literally, it's more than several lifetimes of what a normal car would produce in the entirety of a normal gasoline car. The problem is you'll notice very quickly, they're already establishing the right-left paradigm with this issue. They've got the extremist, which is the guy sitting at the mouth of the volcano. He'll probably be sacrificed at some point. They'll say he died from the cold. That'll be the setup. They'll say, oh, he died from extreme, conditions. That'll be the sacrifice to the volcano. But the paradigm that they're setting up here is the extremist who basically he wants all of us to just be in 15-minute cities and not have any vehicles. But then the rich guy who wants to mine all this lithium, he's going to the other extreme. Watch.
The whole issue of electric vehicles and lithium mining is tricking us into believing that we can have this modern industrial lifestyle that we all enjoy.
See, he wants us all, you can't get in your SUV and drive anymore. Just sit in your 15-minute city.
And also solve global warming.
It's not going to solve any climate change problem, but it's a major contribution.
Lithium mining in the state of Nevada has pitted environmentalists against other environmentalists. Glenn Miller, a former professor of environmental science at the University of Nevada, Reno, supports the mine. He says it will cut carbon emissions from the transportation sector, a major source of greenhouse gases.
So, Do you see the right-left paradigm there? So they've divided the environmentalists into two camps. They always have to do this, right? The answer is not either. The answer is we're just fine with gasoline. Why start carving up the earth for lithium that is very deadly, as I just explained to you? Why do it?
Radical environmentalists are going to argue that the only way to solve the climate change problem is to drive a whole lot less. I mean, a whole lot less. And to not burn gasoline or coal. Well, that's not going to happen.
He says not transitioning to electric vehicles is far more dangerous to humanity. The CEO for mining company Lithium Americas acknowledges operations produce some CO2, but it's offset by electric vehicles' zero tailpipe emissions.
There's an ability here to mitigate,
make a lot of money,
and do things as sustainable as possible.
Back in the desert, Wilbert is willing to risk it all to stop any mining on this site.
You're willing to, if this project moves forward, throw your bodies in between.
He's willing to sacrifice himself to the volcano.
Mining machinery to prevent it. Sounds a bit extreme. Do you mean that?
Our laws haven't caught up with the reality of what's happening to our planet, and so people might have to break the law in order to change what's happening.
The mining company Lithium Americas faces legal challenges.
Let me check in with you guys, because this is a lot of information, but I believe this is the answer to everything and what Burning Man has represented from the very beginning. Wow. Let's finish up Joe versus the volcano. Now, as I said earlier, this Bubaru, which is the element which we've now pretty much discovered is probably code for lithium, but it also sounds a lot like bubos or bubonic plague, which would cause a grievous sore, wouldn't it?
There's a mineral on that island, Mr. Banks. It's called Bubaru. I don't know anywhere else on the planet where you can find more than a gram of this stuff.
He needs the Bubaru for his superconductor, which is lithium is also needed for superconductors. We know that lithium would cause a grievous sore on the soles of your feet in the mud. They're preparing us for this. So, now, this whole thing of Tom Hanks sacrificing himself to the volcano, it's a scam. Tom Hanks isn't even really sick. The doctor who diagnosed him was hired by this billionaire to trick him so that he could get Tom Hanks to sacrifice himself, appease the people on the island, and then get all the Bubaru he wants for himself to build his superconductors.
These are yours, if you take the job. It'll be 20 days from today before you'd have to actually jump into the volcano.
So he bribes Tom Hanks. He says, I'll make you a rich man for the few days, for the 20 days that you have left on this earth, if you'll just jump into the volcano. And Tom Hanks thinks it's hopeless anyways, because he thinks that his condition is incurable. So he receives a bunch of credit cards so that he could feel rich.
Can I rent a limousine for the day? Great. Does a driver come with that? Great. Do you rent anything else?
So where would you like to go?
So, Tom, most of the middle of this film is Tom Hanks on this journey. He's on a journey. A journey to the island. He goes by plane, by boat, by limousine. And he buys 4 different trunks, 4 large trunks. He buys all these clothes and suits. And this reminded me of the Burning Man, how everyone journeys to this one location, right? Journey to the volcano. And this is exactly what Tom Hanks does in the movie. Now, weirdly, and I don't really quite know how all of this fits in, but Meg Ryan, as you see here on the right, she plays several different roles in the film, and they drastically change her appearance. But he plays Tom Hanks' coworker first. I didn't even recognize her in that role. And then this woman, which is the daughter of the billionaire, and then also her sister, which is also the daughter of the billionaire. And it's 3 different women. And I'm going to go in the chat and ask you guys what you think after I show you this clip of the different roles that Meg Ryan plays. Remember, her birthday is 11191961.
Can I ask you something?
What?
Why are you dressed like Jungle Jam?
Why did you talk to me so snotty back on the dock?
That's her as the sister. Blonde hair, the other one red hair, and as his coworker, she had brown hair. So we had brown, red, and blonde hair. What do you guys think that means? Because I could not wrap my brain around this, about what this means. Now, there is a part in the film where Tom Hanks buys an umbrella, and I almost wasn't going to mention it, but it may fit in to this whole, I don't know, I got like a clone vibe from it, like a clone vibe. But then also, you always see her under the umbrella. And maybe that's the poker. Because remember, the umbrella is the poker. Maybe that's what it is. But let's see what your guys' thoughts are on what could it mean that she transforms into these different roles. Sheldon says the Trinity, clones I'm seeing, cloning, shape-shifting. But how does that fit into everything we're talking about? That's the question. And maybe that's the component. Maybe the poker will cause that. This cloning, this trinity of spirits, maybe. Multiple personalities. There you go. Bonnie's on the right track. So this will be the spirits inhabiting the host body. Wow, great job, you guys. All right, let's keep going. There's a little bit more. I know this is a lot of information, but it's all gonna make sense.
Because you work for my father, and he says that only a few people are awake, and they live in a state of constant, total amazement. My father says that almost the whole world is asleep. Everybody you know, everybody you see, everybody you talk to.
Wow. Everybody is asleep. Do you ever feel like that? Do you ever feel like you could show this decode to someone and they would still be in denial? Completely spiritually asleep. Then we get the fire and water paradox again, right? Because we had Maui, the fire, and then we had Burning Man, the water, right? We get that same paradox in the movie. As the final leg of the journey is to go on this yacht, and they encounter a typhoon. They lose the yacht, and they float to safety on those trunks that I told you about. Watch.
There's a typhoon warning. Looks like we're in for a blow.
What exactly is a typhoon?
You know, Joe, I think you're gonna find out.
Mayday, Mayday, this is the Tweedledee, latitude 10 degrees, 8 minutes south, launch.
Yeah, she rattles off a location, geophysical location. I looked it up. Somewhere off the coast of Baja is where they are. So I didn't include that in this decode because I already checked it out. Night falls, the moon rises, and Tom Hanks once again does the Burning Man pose next to the umbrella. Next to the red and white umbrella, might I add, that is covering Meg Ryan. The red and white umbrella is the Raccoon City umbrella. Raccoon scrambled is Corona. From Resident Evil. Look how long he's in the pose. I had one person yesterday in the comments tell me I was Stretch Armstrong, making all this up. I said, nice try. One person. Then he says a prayer. I'm not going to repeat this prayer because it's blasphemous in my eyes. When one of these evil roles, I'll say, well, I won't say because, you can't say anything bad about these people. When it's blasphemy when they pretend to pray to God. Likely this is mother worship because the moon is the mother aspect. And this is why Meg Ryan's under the umbrella. Because she will be the mother of this new race. This race of clones. Then, guess what happens next? They're picked up by the islanders on the island that they were looking for. And the islanders are addicted to orange soda. Remember, oranges are the most hybridized and cloned fruits. Look at this. Wait a minute. Does that say Trump on? You can't. Hold on. Mind blown. Oh, it says jump. Now, there's a mention earlier in the film, and it says that the people on the island were given orange soda, and now they're addicted to it. But I didn't include that clip. They're discovered by the islanders, and they're all basically dressed in smashed orange soda cans, and they're all drinking orange soda. They're wearing them on their head, and they have smashed cans all around their neck.
What is that? A teddy bear?
Then they meet the chief. The chief is carrying this doll. And Tom Hanks asks him, what is that? A teddy bear? Listen to what he says next.
No, it is my soul.
It is my soul.
I hope you don't lose it.
So do I.
I hope you don't lose it. Now, this island represents, or resembles, I should say, looks a lot like Easter Island, not Maui. But the other similarities that I just explained to you are uncanny. It's very, and they're both in the South Pacific, I guess you could say. Let's keep watching here.
Take me to the volcano!
So, Joe and Patricia then decide to sacrifice themselves together.
The Wu wants his flesh.
That almost looks like the mouth of Molech. That might be a bit of a stretch there. I'll admit when I'm stretching something. But they jump out. Kind of reminded me of the mouth of Molech. But a strange thing happens. Just as they jump, a jet of steam shoots out, and it blasts them right back out of the volcano, and they land in the ocean unharmed. Watch.
Well, I say, at least it's a miracle.
The Wuhan volcano then sinks into the ocean. So we have more fire and water.
There goes Waponi Wu. My whole life, I've been a victim. I've been a dupe, a pawn.
Suffocation ritual. As they realize that he's been tricked. and they float away on the trunks.
My throat is closing up. I don't have a brain cloud.
Brain cloud, you think they could think of something better than a brain cloud?
Oh, no, see, Joe, your whole life is ahead of you.
Wow. Let me go back into the chat. I don't know about you, but I see slits. Now, I'm going to end the show with something that might drive it all home for those who are listening. Look at this. Black Rock City, literally in the wake of this lithium mine. Here's the wash, and you could see you're at, what is this? Trying to look at the elevation. It's about a 2,000 foot elevation increase from Black Rock City up to Thatcher Pass, I think it was called. Now I'm drawing a blank, but it's just literally right up here, this dormant volcano. But I wanted to end, Thacker Pass. Let's type it in. Let's type it in so you guys can see with your own eyes the proximity of this. Black Rock City, Black Rock Desert, and Thacker Pass. Let's type it in. It's literally right there. This is the dormant volcano. See if we can see the caldera of this thing just to tie all this in together, right? Thacker Pass. Okay, here it is here. You can see the edge or the rim of this volcano here, okay? You can clearly see there's an edge there, right? That's got to be the volcano. Now, let's look at that. This is just unbelievable. Full of lithium. And look at this. There is the Burning Man. Let's go under the ground here and see if we can spin this around. See if I can figure this out here. And see if you can actually see the caldera of this volcano from Burning Man. That's what we want to do, right? See if I can get this to work. Oh boy. I got to do it like this. Okay. There we go. Look, there's even a place called Sulfur, like Sodom and Gomorrah. These people are sick. Okay, so here's Burning Man, like right here. Let's see if we can get this to work. Anyway, you guys see the point. Burning Man, the volcano. Can't get it to rotate is my problem. It's down here. Somewhere. Anyway, we'll do that on another show if there's anything to report. Now, I'm going to check in with you guys, and I'm going to end the show with one last thing. And that is Burning Man 2001. 8 days before 9/11, 2001. Let's take a look from the archive. Burning Man 2001. And I hope you're sitting down for this. And make it big for you guys so you see this. The unpredictable playa did not disappoint this year. The unusual winter of 2000-2001 left the surface of the playa in a peculiar state. Instead of the dry, cracked surface that usually indicates to us that we have returned home, we were met by a layer of dust. an inch or more thick to wade through, and a dust cloud from the incoming cars that completely engulfed the Burning Man site. Remember, the buildings fell into dust. Keep that in mind as we talk about this. 8 days after Burning Man, 2001. In addition to the unusual goggles of the past years, many participants never left camp without their trusty dust masks. Even the slightest wind this year made such items a necessity. It wasn't all bad and added to the magic of the experience. Most notably, right after the man began to burn, when several small dust devils formed and began to spin all around the fire. Just like what happened this year at Burning Man 2023 that I showed you earlier in this decode. The days were hot this year, the nights sublime. We had waited an entire year, and the wait, as usual, was more than worth it. We welcomed each other home in our usual manner, with open arms, gifts, drum beats, shouts, wild outfits, and with a sense of relief to be home. The dry weather invited everyone out of their camps and encouraged people to explore and experience everything that is Black Rock. Everyone was out in full splendor, breathing life into the radical self-expression tenet that calls so many people to the desert each year. In a sense, Burning Man represents a new beginning every year. So there's your rebirth, right? A time to be reborn and charge our energy. This year's art theme, the 7 Ages, laid way to a symbolic journey through life by means of amazing interactive art installations. Participants could follow a path through the board game-like setup of the art theme installations, which consisted this year of several installations for each stage of the art theme, beginning with the cradle, where one would symbolically return to the womb and be reborn. The stages continued on through life, to death and enlightenment. The mausoleum was a most sacred and reverent place where participants gathered in silence and reflection to honor memories of family, friends, love, and memories past, culminating in a solemn evening on Sunday as fire engulfed and consumed the structure and all its inscriptions and memories. The man himself was the ultimate destination in the game, being placed upon the Tower of Enlightenment. TOE. The toe. The tower was a structure that participants could ascend once they had achieved passage through the other 6 stages of life. That would be like chakras. And it added an additional 30 feet to the height of the man. From this vantage point, participants had a unique viewpoint of all of Black Rock City. There's only one way to the Father, and that is through the Son. And so when people talk about enlightenment and chakras, and there's not one mention of Jesus Christ, I have something to say about it. This year, our community had been educated ahead of time about their rights and responsibilities and responded in their usual conscientious manner. While law enforcement was equally as present this year as last, citations and arrests were a great deal fewer this year. Also improved this year was the porta potty situation. The lines were shorter, the units themselves were cleaner, and people took care to make sure that if it doesn't come from your body, it doesn't go into the potty. There were units on the Greater Playa this year, which were a wonderful addition for those long treks home across the playa after drinking lots and lots of water. Burning Man's tribal elements were plentiful, with fire and drums filling the day and night with sound and heat. The fire conclaves, many performers seemed to appear like magic in spontaneous demonstrations on the street, in theme camps, at musical performances, on top of art installations, and of course in front of the man. Black Rock debuted its first public transport vehicle with the return of Draco the Dragon. You have to be kidding me. which provided the citizens of BRC with rides across the playa. Participants exchanged gifts and shared their art and time and talents. There were magic in the air at every turn, a city unlike any other place on Earth, and then at the end of the week it disappeared, but it will rise again. The phoenix rising up out of the ashes. This year, as with every year, allows us to undergo an amazing experience which changes the way we view life. 2001 was an amazing year. The event continues to change and to be reborn through the participation of thousands of people who give of themselves to keep Burning Man the place we all long to be. We've returned home and are adjusting to regular life. We will decompress, we'll connect with each other to keep the flame burning, and we will create. We will follow the stages that our lives take us through until the next burn. Our hearts filled with longing, we will begin to prepare to follow the dusty trail home again. And all that keeps popping into my mind is sacrificing yourself to Moloch in the fire. Let's go into the chat. Wow. Just wow. What are your guys' thoughts on this? Do you guys want me to do any polls today to get other people's consensus on some of this? All right. Thanks, Robin. The burners say this was an important experience this year too. It's mind-blowing, isn't it, Jackie? Yeah, the Black Rock City, it kind of says, it makes the word bricks. The acronym for Black Rock City is BRIC, which has all kinds of connotations, doesn't it? The bricks that the Hebrew Israelites were forced to make to build the pyramids when they were enslaved to Egypt and everything. Thanks, Ted. Yes, definitely one to rewatch and take notes. I tried my best to keep the information concise and not get off track, but it's like I can barely present this stuff, you guys. It's so mind-blowing, even to me, who's been doing these kinds of decodes for over a decade. I can't even believe some of the stuff that God reveals to us. But it has to be a volcano ritual with the annual sacrifice. One person is always sacrificed to the volcano as they sit in the very shadow of it. No one even realized it. Look what's going on in Peru, says Tammy. Yes, Chris Rock is Black Rock, and Dwayne Johnson is Black Rock. Dwayne, the name Dwayne means black. Yes, it's all ritual. And, of course, the Black Rock Company, yes. Now, Sunday will be a re-upload of a video we did on Joseph Mengele and the boys from Brazil. And in that movie, the boy's eyes turn from brown to blue. The fluorescent. So, I have not rewatched that re-upload, and I'll be watching it with you together. And I am almost positive our minds will be blown, as that past decode will probably likely tie into everything that's happening right now. Well, I love each and every one of you guys. Thumbs up the video, share it. The information doesn't get out unless you get it out there. And I'll put links to all this in the pinned comment, as I always do. Much love, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Take care.